Every great transformation begins with a single thought. And behind every lasting change in life lies a shift in the way we think. The mind is the most powerful tool we possess. It shapes our habits, our beliefs, and ultimately our destinies. But too often we allow it to be governed by fear, by doubt, and by limitations that were never truly our own to begin with. The truth is, no one rises above the level of their thinking. If the mind is cluttered with the opinions of others, with outdated beliefs, or with stories of lack and limitation, then progress becomes nearly impossible. But when a mind is disciplined, when it is directed with purpose and fueled by a clear vision, it becomes the key that unlocks potential once thought unreachable. Change does not begin in the outer world. It begins in the quiet place of thought. There, we either build the walls that confine us or the bridges that carry us forward. Thoughts shape destiny. Change your thinking, change your life. This idea is not just poetic. It is a fundamental principle that governs success and failure alike. Every achievement, every failure, every breakthrough begins first as a seed of thought. Before any invention was created, before any empire was built, before any goal was accomplished, there was a mind that conceived it. The outer world is simply a reflection of the inner world. If the mind is cluttered with negativity, fear, and limitation, then that is what will appear in life. Conversely, when the mind is focused on growth, purpose, and possibility, the conditions of life begin to mirror that clarity. It is a law of nature that what we dwell upon mentally, we move toward physically. A person who constantly thinks of defeat will, without knowing it, take actions that align with that defeat. They will talk themselves out of opportunities. They will hesitate when boldness is needed. They will settle for less because their thoughts have already convinced them that they do not deserve more. On the other hand, a person who constantly holds the image of success, fulfillment, and abundance in their mind begins to act in harmony with those thoughts. They develop a kind of internal compass that points them in the direction of their desire, even when the path is not yet clear. Thoughts are not neutral. They are charged with emotion, intention, and energy. A single thought, when repeated, becomes a belief. That belief then informs actions, and those actions create results. Most people try to change their circumstances without ever changing the root of the problem, the way they think. They work harder, struggle more, and push themselves forward, all while carrying around a mental framework that resists progress. It's like trying to sail against the wind without adjusting the sails. Until the mental pattern shifts, no amount of effort will produce the outcome they truly seek. There is a direct relationship between the quality of your thoughts and the quality of your life. This is not just motivational talk. It is grounded in experience and observable in anyone who has risen from difficult circumstances to create something extraordinary. The difference is not always talent, luck, or resources. It is often a decision to think differently, to refuse to be defined by present conditions, and to instead create a new mental picture of what is possible. This picture, when held with consistency and backed by belief, begins to influence behavior in powerful ways. It attracts new opportunities, changes how one responds to challenges, and awakens abilities that were dormant. To change your life, you must first become aware of what you're thinking. Self-awareness is the gateway to transformation. It allows you to recognize which thoughts are serving you and which are holding you back. Most people live on autopilot, unaware of the constant dialogue running through their minds. They repeat the same thoughts daily, not realizing those thoughts are laying the bricks of their future reality. Beliefs are learned, not permanent. Question everything limiting you. From the earliest moments of life, beliefs are absorbed from the environment, often without conscious choice. They come from parents, teachers, culture, media, and peers. A child hears that something is true enough times and begins to accept it as fact. Over time, these inherited beliefs become so deeply rooted that they are no longer questioned. They simply feel like reality. But a belief is not a truth. It is a repeated thought accepted as true. It is a mental program written by repetition and emotion, and like any program, it can be rewritten. Many of the limitations people experience are not due to actual inability, but to the invisible boundaries created by their beliefs. When someone says, "I'm not good at that," or "that kind of success isn't for people like me," They are not describing truth. They are describing conditioning. These beliefs may have formed from a single experience or comment, and yet they guide decisions, shape self-image, and determine what goals feel possible or impossible. A belief held long enough becomes a filter through which all of life is interpreted. It colors how opportunities are seen, how challenges are faced, and what kind of future feels achievable. The danger of unexamined beliefs is that they feel so normal. If a belief has been with you since childhood, it may never occur to you that it isn't yours. And yet it is these subconscious scripts that often drive behavior. People will sabotage progress, avoid risk, or shrink from leadership, not because they lack ability, but because they are living according to beliefs that were handed to them, not chosen by them. When a person begins to challenge these beliefs, really question where they came from, why they are held, and whether they are still valid, they begin to reclaim the power to shape their own identity and future. The process of transformation starts with awareness. Recognizing that beliefs are not fixed facts, but flexible interpretations opens the door to change. Just because something has been believed for years does not make it true or useful. In fact, the most damaging beliefs are often the most familiar ones. Thoughts like, "I'm too old," "I'm not smart enough," or "people like me don't succeed" are beliefs, not laws. And if they can be learned, they can be unlearned. The mind is plastic. It responds to repetition, intention, and experience. New beliefs can be installed through consistent thought, emotional engagement, and aligned action. Questioning your beliefs is not an act of rebellion. It is an act of liberation. It means stepping out of the mental cage that was built for you and beginning to construct a new internal structure based on possibility rather than limitation. It takes courage to let go of the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. But growth requires discomfort. It asks for honesty, for curiosity, and for the willingness to admit that many of the things you've believed were never your beliefs to begin with. Success begins in the mind before it appears in reality. Every outcome we experience originates as a thought, a vision, or an idea long before it takes shape in the physical world. This is the foundational principle behind all achievement. Nothing materializes by chance. Every building, invention, career, or personal breakthrough starts with a mental picture that is nurtured with belief and intention. People often look at successful individuals and focus only on what they see, the accolades, the status, the accomplishments. What they miss is the internal journey that led to those results, the mindset that was cultivated, the self-image that was built, and the clarity of vision that guided the way. The mind acts like a blueprint for life. If that blueprint is vague, full of doubt, or shaped by fear, then the results will reflect that confusion. But when the mind is clear, focused, and committed to a vision, it begins to organize thoughts, decisions, and actions around that outcome. The subconscious mind, which governs most of our behavior, does not distinguish between what is imagined and what is real. It responds to the instructions it receives. When a person consistently holds a picture of success in their mind, backed by belief and emotion, the subconscious begins to work toward that outcome by influencing behavior, sharpening awareness, and attracting the resources needed to move forward. This internal process of success is not about wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is about consciously directing the mind toward a specific goal and aligning with that goal through persistent mental conditioning. The most powerful transformations occur when a person stops reacting to their current circumstances and starts responding to the vision they hold for their life. This shift in focus from what is to what could be is what separates stagnation from progress. The current reality might show obstacles, limitations, or setbacks, but the mind that is anchored in a greater vision will find a way through. People often wait for the external world to change before they believe it's possible to succeed. They wait for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, or some sign that it's safe to take action. But this approach places power outside of the self. Real success comes from building an internal state that no longer depends on circumstances. It is born from the decision to act as if success is inevitable, not because the world guarantees it, but because the mind has already accepted it. The person who decides to believe in their future, even when there is no physical evidence of it yet, begins to move differently. They speak with more conviction. They take bolder steps. They persist when others give up because their mind is no longer anchored to the present condition. It is fixed on the desired result. The mind must succeed before the hands ever build anything. Thought is the foundation. It creates a framework of belief, expectation, and motivation that guides every step forward. To think of success is not just to imagine an outcome. It is to create the conditions in which success becomes inevitable discipline. Your thoughts, like a builder, shapes a blueprint. Every great structure begins with a detailed plan, a design that determines where each element will go and how it will support the whole. The mind works in the same way. Thoughts are not random or without consequence. They are the raw materials of your reality. Without structure and direction, thoughts drift, become reactive, and often lead to confusion, fear, or procrastination. But when disciplined, they become tools of precision, capable of building a life of purpose and intention. Most people allow their thoughts to be shaped by their environment, emotions, and habits. They respond to life instead of creating it. They think the way they've always thought, not realizing those thought patterns are the reason they remain stuck. Discipline begins with awareness, recognizing which thoughts are helpful and which are harmful. Just as a builder would never include a weak or unstable element in a structure, a person seeking growth must stop allowing destructive thoughts to take up space in the mind. That means catching negativity when it appears, not feeding self-doubt, and replacing fear-based assumptions with empowering alternatives. Disciplining your thoughts does not mean suppressing them. It means training them. It's about choosing what to focus on, what to repeat, and what to let go of. The undisciplined mind runs from fear to distraction, from judgment to insecurity. The disciplined mind stays centered, focused on what matters, even when emotions pull in different directions. This is not a natural state. It is learned through repetition, intention, and commitment. Just as physical discipline requires effort, mental discipline demands daily practice. It requires deciding each day what kind of thoughts you will allow to guide your actions. The quality of your thoughts determines the direction of your energy. Where your thoughts go, your time, effort, and choices follow. When you hold a thought of success, clarity, or courage, your actions align with that thought. You become proactive instead of reactive. You begin to live by design instead of default. This is how discipline becomes freedom. Most people believe discipline is restrictive, but in reality, it is the pathway to control and creativity. With disciplined thinking, you are no longer at the mercy of your moods, your past, or the opinions of others. You become the architect of your mindset and, in turn, your life. Mental discipline also involves repetition. The same way a builder revisits a blueprint before construction. You don't think one empowering thought once and expect change. You return to it, strengthen it, and build on it. Affirmations, visualization, intentional journaling. These are tools of mental architecture. They help you construct belief systems that support your goals instead of undermining them. With each repetition, the neural pathways grow stronger. What once felt difficult becomes second nature. The chaotic inner dialogue becomes calm direction. Discipline transforms the mind from a noisy room into a command center, focused and clear.